Have you been wondering what the difference between a skill and an ability is when you are designing your online course? This is something that frequently comes up when I'm working with my clients and my students in curriculum design. What is the difference between a skill and an ability? So let's have a look. Hi and welcome to the Stellar Way for Course Creators. My name is Kat and I am a learning and development consultant, and I'm here to help you be able to design, create and launch your online course. Now, if you haven't watched the video about course curriculums and course outlines and client competencies, then head on over and watch those videos. I'll put the links in the description below. But these videos will help you to be able to start to build your curriculum for your course and for your online course. So when you get to those videos, you will start to see that I speak about knowledge, skills, and abilities. And it can become a bit confusing between the difference of a skill and an ability. So that's why I wanted to answer today, is the difference between the two. So if you think of knowledge, skills, and abilities like a stepping stone or like a scaffold, like a ladder, whatever you would like to refer to them as, they are different levels. We never say abilities, skills, and knowledge. We never say skills, knowledge, and abilities. It's always knowledge, skills, and abilities because that's the order that they go in. That's the levels that they go in, which we'll have a look at shortly when I show you Bloom's taxonomy, when we start to see the order of cognitive abilities, of how we learn. So we'll have a look at that shortly. But the point of this is that our final outcome is our abilities. And to get to that final outcome of our abilities, we have to have knowledge sets and skill sets. So the difference, very briefly, between the two is that a skill may be just an individual skill to do something individually, whereas our abilities are a collection of our skill sets and of our knowledge sets, as well as our individual personal abilities, our soft skills, and our past experiences. So let's have a look now at what that level looks like. So here I have an example of Bloom's taxonomy from Practice Learning. You can have a look at this online. It's a great example of how our cognitive abilities, when we learn, how they go through this process here of first being able to remember information and then demonstrating our understanding before we go into applying that knowledge and that comprehension, and once we start to practice those abilities, before we can then move into synthesizing and evaluating, which is forming our abilities. Now on the right hand side here, you can also see low order thinking skills, which is also referred to as LOTS, and then higher order thinking skills, which can also be referred to as HOTS. And this arrow demonstrates that we will be moving through these levels as we move from lower order thinking skills to higher order thinking skills as we move through these, and we're building our cognitive abilities. So this means we first need to have this knowledge before we can start to synthesize and evaluate. In other terms, we need to have our knowledge, which is knowledge and comprehension. Then we can start to build, start to practice and refine our skill sets to then help us to build and form our abilities. Now, before I did mention that here we would start to build our unique abilities. So you and I may have the same opportunities to start to attain the same information. We might have the opportunities to read the same books, to go to the same schools, universities, to be able to gather the same pieces of information. We also may have the same opportunities to practice skill sets. However, when we start to form our abilities, we are forming our abilities by collating our knowledge that we have and our skills that we have, but we're also drawing on our past experiences. We're also using our interpersonal skills, such as our soft skills, to start to form our unique abilities. Now, when we're building our curriculums and when we're starting to design our online courses, we need to look at these abilities like the final outcome that our students need to achieve. And then we start to work backwards to start to say, to achieve these abilities, what skills do our students need? And then to start to practice these skills, what knowledge do our students need? There's also another great video that I have in YouTube that starts to talk about how you can identify where your students or clients currently are at, so you can create your competencies for them. Like you've heard the term, take your clients or your students from point A to point B, right? You don't want to be starting at a level that's too low for them or starting at a level that's too high for them in regards to these levels here. So it's really important to understand where your students are to be able to get them from where they are to their ultimate outcome. Have a look at those other videos. I'll put them in the comments below as well. So what I wanted to leave you with is 2 examples of how you can start to write knowledge, skills, and abilities. And what I'll be using is these verbs here. So these verbs are at each level that talk about what someone will be doing at that level. So what will they be doing to show you that they can remember their previous information that they've learned? What they can do to show you or to demonstrate their understanding, how they can start to apply their knowledge. So have a look at that here. Now, if you know me, if you've watched my videos before, if you have spoken to me, you know how much I love coffee and my experience of coffee making. That's why I'm using this example. So our knowledge, when we start to look at a coffee maker, a barista, when we want to help them be able to be good at their role, we can start to build them up towards an ability. So here is an example. First, they need to be able to identify the difference between a cappuccino and a latte. Then they need to have the opportunity to practice calculating how much milk is required to make a cappuccino and a latte. These are just examples. There's a lot more knowledge and skills that go into forming this ability of being able to prepare a cappuccino and a latte. However, you can see how someone will be moving up these ranges. So let's have a look at the final example here, customer service. So again, if we want to get someone to be excelling in customer service, then first they need to recognize the importance of ensuring customer service or ensuring customer satisfaction for the business. Then they need the opportunity to demonstrate excellent customer service. Now, this demonstration might be through a role play. It might be through only talking to their peers rather than actually demonstrating with a real client. They can still demonstrate that skill to you. But then the ability is when they start to draw on their knowledge, draw on their skills, and they start to support their peers to also provide excellent customer service. So in these examples, you can see how that ability is when we're starting to collate our knowledge and skills. So if you think of knowledge as different sets, so different knowledge sets, and skills as different individual skills, and then our abilities is forming all of those together. So I hope that has been able to help you understand the difference between a skill and an ability, because it can become quite jaded between the two of, well, what are the two? So I hope that's given you a great overview. If you do have any questions, put them in the comments below. I'll be happy to help you with further examples. Those are only 2 examples, but I have many more examples that I can explain to you. And here are 2 final tips. So when you are creating your curriculum, think of what the final outcome is. What's that final ability that someone will be able to do? And then start to work backwards. To be able to have that ability, what other abilities do they need to form? What skills do they need to attain? And what knowledge do they need to have? And to be able to write all of those outcomes, knowledge, skills, and abilities, ask yourself, by the end of this course, my students will have the ability to, and then you can finish that sentence off with a verb from the example I showed you. So until next time, happy course creating, and I look forward to seeing what you create in your curriculum. Bye for now.